I'd love to see a range of enterprise conversations leading into action taken across Scotland. That's one of the routes that you can help some of the most deprived areas and stuff. Get people talking about it. They never get a chance. They're always being talked at. Let them talk to each other.
Thanks very much, Iain. Another question, please. Right here.
Iain, Edward Harkins here, speaking in independent capacity, but also a member of the entrepreneurial group in LinkedIn you mentioned, so thanks for the mention. The point that's been brought up there was touched on by Laura, really, is the deprived areas and parts of the population. I've just recently put my own paper in response to the Scottish Government's consultation around regeneration, and I found myself saying in that, well, we're possibly looking at what's now history called the regeneration decades. And at the heart of that was meant to be community regeneration, and at the heart of that, community engagement. And I have to say, as a practitioner over that couple of decades, I was saying in every dimension it's failed.
Yes.
And that was ringing bells to me when you were talking about the accidental entrepreneur and keeping out the way and all so forth and so on. I'm not a great free market libertarian, but I do think we've got an immense institutional cultural problem in Scotland of not understanding you can't program in a lot of things, you can't agency lead a lot of things. And the difficulty is there is what other academics have called in the past a willful unlearning. We know that, but we don't change.
Yes.
So unfortunately, maybe we're being forced here through unfortunate circumstances to look at that again. One of the ways I think we can square this circle, again, I thought it was interesting, Laura mentioning there about the need for a cultural transition. I recall about 4 years ago not being able to get a paper of mine accepted by my clients at that time in the Scottish Government because I kept referring to the grey economy. And they were saying, we don't want any recognition of that. And in the end, they just said, well, don't bother paying me. They never got paid and we didn't publish the report. And I think the way we square that circle is saying, we do need the cultural transition that Laurie's talking about, but I think that's got to begin in the institutions and not just the public sector. I think a lot of the professional institutions in Scotland are part of the problem and not part of the solution.
Yes, I've got absolutely no disagreement with that.
Okay, thanks for that. Other contributions or questions? God, you're not very... Yes, Jean, thank you very much.
Can't control myself. Jean Hamilton, I'm a consultant. I'm going to be a bit of a downer.
Wouldn't be Scotland without it.
What you've described, I think, in terms of the enterprise is a restructuring of the economy. We're breaking down large companies into lots of little companies. Your example of a legal firm that if you're successful, you go and you take some of the clients and you set up in competition. To me, that doesn't sound like additional economic activity in Scotland. That sounds like, pardon me, a lot of lifestyle type businesses, a lot of businesses which are serving the same market. Unless can I
just ask you, what is a lifestyle business? Because I have yet to meet any entrepreneur that ever considers themselves having a lifestyle business because they work their butts out to pay things. They might have a lifestyle business if they've got $1 million in the bank, but every entrepreneur that I've met that's got $1 million in the bank and thinks of themselves, they go out and they do it again. I'm sorry, we've got to end this phrase, the lifestyle business. It does not exist.
Keep going, Jean.
I fundamentally disagree with that point, but that's, let's not go into a lot of detail. I suppose what I'm saying is, unless you capitalise on this entrepreneurialism through getting exporting, through getting growth, through getting employment, which you say you hate, or that's the wrong thing to look at, then how are you really getting more economic benefits? How are you going to end up with more wealth coming into the country?
Here we have it. These are people's lives. What I said right back early on was people start businesses. The ludicrous situation, you were there, weren't you, in North East. The ludicrous situation, we were looking at a programme where it started off a bit more high growth businesses and then it became, oh, Biz would like them to be in the green economy. So I am not going to take part in a programme dictated by Biz, which says what we would like to do is support more people who start a business in the green economy that will take on 100 people in 3 years that will do all of these kind of things. If they want to do that and set that policy out, go and do it yourself. And we've actually got to a stage where there's a real schism emerging, because there are people out there that are saying, this is what we need for the economy, but not doing it themselves. Only until you go, and actually the key thing with that is, every time we take that narrow approach, you end up stifling innovation and ignoring it. And that's where it is. It's all out there. It's the market behaving the way the market is doing. And one of the things that happened in Kay Adams today was somebody was talking about the myth of the Scottish film and creative industries sector, which is world beating. And he said, it'll take you so far. It will certainly not take you to the top. You can't delude, you can't do it. It doesn't work. It doesn't work, sorry. That's your entire economic approach, in my humble opinion. No, it's gone. The world has changed. Social media changed it, the web changed it. We can no longer dictate. People will make money wherever there is money. And that's the different route that we should be taking, which you're actually asking a very legitimate point. How can we capitalize on all of this? That's a different thing from saying, and it will be in the following areas, because that is the opening phrase of the Nestor report, the vital 6%, talks about and says, so, because of David Birch's work, high growth businesses come from 6%, and they take on more people than anybody else. It then goes on to say, therefore, it makes sense to focus all our support from government and agencies, or thereabouts, I paraphrase, on these 6%. Why? They don't need it. There's a mess going on in policy making and economic thinking. That's why I said biz is Jurassic Park. They haven't come up with anything original for 40 years.
Thank you for that conference. Policy leaders in practice. Any other questions or challenges for you?
Hogging it again, but kind of just building on that point actually, in just terms of the different mindset. No, honestly, just a different mindset about thinking about, not thinking in boxes in terms of the, types of businesses that have some growth potential, even if it's very modest growth potential. And there's, just to point to a piece of research that's done by a colleague of mine in the States, actually, for American Express Open, built on the 2010 census in the States, which has clearly demonstrated that the, what we may refer to here as lifestyle businesses are in fact outperforming many of the other more traditional business models. And it's just, again, whatever the infrastructure support turns out to be post all the changes that are afoot just now, we've got to get away from that old style thinking. It's completely outdated.
I think actually one of the points that Jean really made, which is actually very good, is that also does not fit now in the current banking and financial climate, because there are certain businesses now, it's downright impossible for them to get the kind of money they want to. It is possible to get the money, but the costs are high. And that's what I was talking about. Behavior is changing. Businesses are changing. They're operating in different ways. There might be a route, but this issue, and it's a very serious one, was tackled, which was Apple employ, 200,000 people. The people that make the Macs are all in China, employing millions. We have a complete separation. One country is massive manufacturer, the other is intellectual property. The country that really begins to power forward is the one that marries the two. And they work hand in hand. And John Wallis, the principal at the RSAMD, said, technology is the handmaiden of the arts. It is creative, dynamic people that change the world, and technology is there to help them do it. And that, I think, is the impact. We don't know enough about what's going on just now. Behaviours are very, very different.
Quite lifestyle businesses, I think they're confusing who owns them with what their attitude to business performance is.
Evidence doesn't support that.
There are so many businesses, so many businesses which are little corner shop, which are people running self-catering businesses, people that are or businesses who are entirely focused on the existing Scottish market, which will not, by definition, will not generate additional
There are two things. Well, any other comments on that? Anybody else agree with that?
Those people are not independent. They're spending money in the local economy. It's real money to take.
Where are they generating that money?
Doesn't matter.
Does it matter? No, it doesn't. You can't.
Finished. I love to ask a question. I'd always like to get sort of 2 or 3 key policy messages. The 2 or 3 key policy messages I get from you, we need more redundancies. Secondly, preferably redundancies in the Scottish Government or the Scottish University. There's some entrepreneurial potential in there, and there's something else about a big discussion.
Or another way of putting it, Alan, is the world has changed economically. We are not cutting to go back in some point to where we were before. That has a major impact. And physically, I was actually at a conference when Osborne announced his budget, his so-called emergency budget. And this is what happened. All of these things came out, and after about 15 minutes, everybody's pages, Blackberries and iPhones went off, and they all went, woof! And they were all phoning, this was in England, they were all phoning into the office, and they knew how much their cut was going to be for all their programs. And they had already started putting in place, axing a whole number of things that fitted the numbers. That's old-style reactionary thinking, which is about saving money. The point I'm making here is stand back, think about what is different, and start saying, if I did this at my college, which is, a college can be a marvellous enterprise incubator and income generator. If we did this differently, would we get more money? Thinking of it like an entrepreneur. If I were a local authority, it's, if we cut this, will that actually lower enterprise activity and put all the corner shops, which you believe make no part in the economy, out of business? But you end up with a Tesco, where all the money goes elsewhere. You've got that, but start thinking, and also start thinking, as I said, there's Hillhead Primary School in a busy area. Wow, how interesting, because from that group, somebody somewhere, because the key thing we know from all of this is your lifestyle business or accidental entrepreneur takes the first year to adapt from being an employee. They take the second year to start to develop their skills. They take the third year to really start growing. And if you want the academic evidence for that, I think you should have a word with Sarah Carter at Strathclyde University, who's been looking at that subject in some considerable detail. And actually this whole topic of lifestyle business, because she's saying, that's not what it's about. All's changed.
Thank you much, Iain. Let's enjoy your patient.